Good evening. Welcome to Transition Talks Tuesdays with the School District of Janesville and the Southern Regional Center for Children and Youth with Special Health Care Needs. My name is Tim Markle. I'm Director of the Southern Regional Center, joined with representatives too of the School District of Janesville, which I just noticed one of them has no microphone. And so she extends her welcome to you and is glad that you are all here. We heard from Rebecca too, who is also glad that you're here. I am also glad that you're here, but I'm really glad that Amber Kwiatkowski is with us. Amber works with ERI and she works at disability work benefits. And this is one of the more confusing parts of benefits. And so we are very happy that she is here to try to teach us a couple of things this evening, or at least show us a couple of things this evening. So Amber, thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome, Tim. I'm happy to be here. Thank you, everyone. As Tim mentioned, I am employed by ERI, Employment Resources, Inc., and I am a Work Incentives Benefits Specialist, or a WIBS, sometimes we're referred to as. And I work primarily in a program called WIPA, which is WIPA, and that stands for the Work Incentives Planning and Assistance Project or Program. And we're funded by a grant from Social Security. So it's kind of nice. We are funded to provide work incentives counseling to actually every county in the state. So that does include Rock County, of course. And then I also do benefits counseling for individuals who have long-term care, so either IRIS or family care. So that's primarily the two programs that I work with doing the work incentives counseling. Now, ERI, we also do the same type of counseling for individuals who have DVR, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. I just don't really work with a lot of those cases, but we have other benefit specialists here at ERI who do. So at ERI, we actually do all three of the funding sources for this type of benefits counseling. So now, Tim did mention that you guys talked about the ADRC, so the Aging and Disability Resource Center, and that's great. I'm glad that you did, because I have a little bit about that in the presentation. Just to point out that for transition age youth, I think it's important to know about the two different types of benefit counseling that's available and what the differences are. So at the ADRC, that's where you will find the disability benefit specialist. Those are the DBS people. And they really focus on helping individuals with applying for Social Security benefits. The work incentives people, we do not do that. So we're not experts in the applications or the appeal process or anything like that. That's where we direct people to the ADRC to work with one of the disability benefit specialists. So I'm assuming that you guys know about how to reach your ADRC. Okay, what's going on with the slide? Who knows? Oh, there she is. Okay, so this is just going to show.
She's just a little tired tonight.
Yeah,
Amber.
I don't know what's
it's
happening.
Late in the day. She's a little, a little tired to show up, but she's here. So this
they're all coming up. I've never
exactly. They're here.
Yeah. So okay. So
and now they're gone.
Back. All right. So the DBS at the ADRC. So in Rock County, you guys have a great ADRC, and it's at 1717 Center Avenue in Janesville. They also have a website. Their phone number is 608-741-3600. And that's where you would go for assistance with applications for Social Security Disability or SSI, appeals. So if you apply for SSI and you get denied and you want to figure out how do I appeal this, I would call them. They can help sometimes with a medical CDR. So that's a continuing disability review for Social Security. So that's where I would go for that too. Telling people about Medicaid and applying for that. They do help with Medicare Part D assistance as well. So anyway, it's a great resource to know about the ADRC. All right, so here, now let's talk about what I do, the WIBS. Oh yeah, we're gonna have everything come up here. So, okay, so the WIBS, we're here for people who already have their Social Security disability benefit. So, you know, I don't help people with applying for benefits. So in fact, you know, people aren't going to seek out work incentives counseling unless they already have their Social Security disability benefit or their SSI benefit. So we're here to help people figure out, okay, I have my benefit and I'm working or I want to work and I need to figure out, number one, can I work? How much can I earn? Am I going to lose my cash payment? Am I going to lose my health insurance? How do I report this? You know, what do I do? So that's where we come in. That's what we help with. And the next slide, let's just bring everything up. So this just kind of highlights what the work incentives benefit specialists can do. Again, our focus is helping people to overcome barriers to employment by understanding what the work incentives are. So Social Security, believe it or not, they actually have really good work incentives that are available to encourage beneficiaries to work up to their potential. I think a lot of people are there's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of misunderstanding about the fact that, you know, yes, you can work, and it doesn't mean that you're going to lose all of your cash payments or your health insurance. And so we just try to help educate people that work is possible. That's a big part of what we do. We can help a little bit with helping people understand if there's other benefits they might be eligible for, like food share, or housing assistance or energy assistance. We help people with understanding what their Medicaid options are. So in that way, we do help a little bit with applying for benefits, but not the Social Security ones. That's going to be more your disability benefit specialist. So again, another main focus of our work is to make sure that individuals are given accurate information about how working will affect all of their benefits so that they can make informed decisions about employment. We also work a lot with helping people communicate with Social Security. You wouldn't believe it has gotten harder and harder to communicate with Social Security. The pandemic has made it even worse. It's very challenging. And so if people are having a hard time reporting their work earnings or completing a work review, we can really help people with getting that information into the right person at Social Security. So we're doing a lot of that these days, and we always have, but I feel like the Social Security offices are even more, I don't know, even more difficult to work with at this point in time. Yeah.
Yeah, that is what we're hearing, that's what I'm hearing from people as well, Amber, is that it seems the longer wait times on phones. And I'm also hearing, we were just talking last week on a call, that they actually are seeming less helpful. And some of them are less wanting to really help. And that if you don't know exactly what it is you're asking, they're not going to give you the prompts to figure it out, which is really frustrating when we are not the ones that know the system, and they are the ones that are supposed to know the system. So I think you're absolutely right. I don't know what's going on, but it does seem to be a little difficult to communicate with Social Security Administration
Right.
recently.
Right. And I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I know their workload is very high and it's stressful and everything. And yeah, but it's hard. Some of them have good customer service skills and some not so much, but yep. But yeah, that's one of the things we're here to help with. So just to talk a little bit about funding for the work incentives, benefits counseling, we already talked about WIPA as being one of the funding sources. And WIPA is, funded by that Social Security grant. And we also have DVR funds that work incentives, benefits counseling. So for people who do have a DVR case open, that's the first place I suggest they go for the service to get that authorized. And so with DVR, they do a benefit analysis report. So that's the service, and it's funded by DVR. So for people who, and DVR basically has a good understanding that they will pay for that service instead of referring to the WIPA service, because we have a limited amount of money, and we try to keep WIPA for people who don't have DVR funding available.
So Amber, before you go on,
yeah.
One of my jobs is to watch the chat.
Oh,
And
yes.
we do have a question in chat for you.
Oh, good.
If I have a student who lost her Medicare due to earning too much money, would I send her to you or the ADRC?
Oh, yeah. That's a great question.
And I think, I would like to add Medicare and possibly Medicaid due to earning too much money, because I know there's different rules for the programs.
That sounds like a work incentives benefit specialist question. Yep. Because if your student already has Medicare or Medicaid, my guess is they're tied to a Social Security benefit. So it sounds like, and it's a work issue. So I think, yep, a work incentives person.
And so they could go to the ERI-WI.org programs WIPA website and find the contact information, or how do they?
Yes. So now, is there DVR involved?
Okay.
So that's where I would, so for funding for the WIBS service, my first question is, okay.
Yes, DVR is involved. So the chat says DVR is involved, and the chat says that it's Medicaid.
Yeah. So there's DVR. I would talk to the DVR counselor about authorizing benefit counseling services for your student. And many of the DVR counselors are very good at suggesting the benefit analysis and getting that service going, but some of them don't unless the client asks for it. But it's a service that they can fund for sure. So that's what I would suggest.
Okay, so just a reminder is that, what we learned from DVR is that a lot of times they'll do initial intakes and work, but then a lot of the actual help for the consumer is done by another agency. And so they're working with an agency that provides a job coach, that provides the job share, that provides looking into the job. So in this case, it's DVR would be working with the incentive benefits specialist, the work incentives benefits specialist. DVR would pay for that, but they're not the ones that provide the service. They would be paying somebody else to provide that service, but the funding has to come through DVR.
You got it. Exactly. Okay. Yep. That's exactly right. And ERI, we have a contract with DVR as one of the providers of work incentives, benefits counseling, but there are other agencies. So I'm sure in the Janesville area, there are other options besides ERI. And so the DVR counselor should give a list of choices. So it is the consumer's choice, which agency they would want to work with.
So because there is nothing in life that is straightforward and simple, apparently this is a complicated case. Project Search, so DVR has worked with Project Search, but paid employment is no longer supported by DVR. And so it sounds like we have this project search DVR, and hanging in the balance is this person's Medicaid that covers their health insurance.
Mhm.
So where would be someone that may be able to help them untangle that knot? Would they have to start at DVR?
Yeah, if, I mean, I'm totally fine with helping people understand these things. So if it is a complicated one, I'm more than happy to talk to people and figure out what the options are. So my contact information is at the end of this. So I'm more than happy to talk people through individual situations that might come up. But yeah, that's fine. Generally speaking, though, if there is a DVR case open, they can pay for benefits counseling to help. And that would just be connecting the individual to a benefit specialist who's going to be able to help them figure out their Medicaid situation.
Hi, Amber. This is Megan. I'm with TMG.
Oh yeah.
I just
Hi.
wanted to throw out there too, if the individual is with a long-term care provider, whether it be IRIS or or an MCO, if the individual is no longer with DVR, the managed care organization or IRIS, they can fund a benefits analysis also. So if you're working with, I'm not sure who's asked the question, but they can also check with their IRIS consultant or their managed care, IDT staff to fund that also. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. That was my third funding source. Yes, that we hadn't even got to yet. Yes.
I'll just sit tight then.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Way to set that up, Megan. Just throw that softball, let her hit it out of the park. Well done.
Yes, that was perfect. And I think you basically said what I was going to say. So and this is, even in the last year or two, this funding source is being used a lot more. And it is either IRIS or family care funding for work incentives benefits counseling. And it's been great. So at ERI, we are getting a lot more referrals from IRIS consultants and also from the MCOs for this. And this is usually for people who, they probably did have DVR at some point, but their DVR case closed and they're still working and they have some benefit issues that come up later. And that's great. So then we have different levels of service for that to help the person figure out what their benefit issue is so that they can hopefully keep working and then figure out maybe they might need to decrease their hours or maybe they can work more. So, all right. Any other questions about the three funding sources for now? All right. Okay, so resolve benefit problems. Okay, we got that. Okay, so I'm sure you guys all are aware of this, that there's a lot of misinformation out there, a belief that individuals who have disability benefits are not going to be able to work because they will lose their health insurance, they will lose their cash payments, etc. And that really is just basically not the case. Now, full-time work can cause people to lose their cash payment. I mean, yes, so full-time work, it can cause the loss of a cash payment, but part-time work usually doesn't. And even full-time work doesn't usually mean that health insurance is taken away. So I will just say that. And of course, our other message is that each person's benefit situation is different and unique. So I hear a lot from people that, this happened to my neighbor, or my sister-in-law had this happen, and this is, this happened to this person. And all I usually say is, your benefits are probably different than that person's. And really, we need to look at your specific situation to answer your questions. And maybe your situation, it wouldn't happen the same way. So that's where individualized benefits counseling can be really helpful to people. All right, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the two types of disability benefits that are available through Social Security, but I'll just talk a little bit of an overview of the two programs. So we have the SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. This is based on somebody's own work record or the work record of a parent who is disabled, retired, or deceased. And this is called the Disabled Adult Child or the Childhood Disability Benefit. That's a type of SSDI. And there's no limit for assets and resources for SSDI. And this is for people who are 18 and older. So you're not going to see individuals who are younger than 18 having Social Security disability benefits, okay? So you have to be 18 before you can get this, you know, and you have to have a work history. So a lot of 18-year-olds, you know, they're probably aren't going to have it. So it's more people, a lot of people start out on the SSI program. So that is your supplemental security income. And this is the fun one. This is the one where it's the $2,000 limit for your savings and your resources. It's based on your income. So the most that somebody could get from SSI next year is $841 a month. So that's it. When there's other income, that amount is reduced. So SSI, it does look at your income. It's a financially needs-based program. But it's nice because it has automatic Medicaid. So in Wisconsin, SSI recipients automatically have Medicaid. They don't have to apply for it separately. So yes, so some people, so SSI you can have as a child. So you do see SSI individuals under the age of 18 who have SSI. So that's one of the ways that sometimes I help people figure out which one they're getting, you know, based on age. That can sometimes help. So the other thing with SSI is the state has a supplement for the federal payment. So you'll see either $83.78 or $179.77. So that's the amount of income that somebody on SSI is going to live off of, the federal payment and then the state supplement. One thing about SSDI is the payment is going to be different because it's based on the individual's earnings history. So some people have small SSDI payments and some people have very high SSDI payments. It's based on the individual's work history and the amount of Social Security taxes that they've paid. So real briefly, something to kind of be aware of for the transition age, you know, population is that.
Amber, can I interrupt you
Yes.
really quickly
Oh,
for
sure.
a moment?
Yeah.
I'm noticing that we're having a little technical glitches with your slides. I don't know if anybody else is seeing this, but there's parts of your slides that are shaded. And so we're losing some of the, or at least I am losing some of the words on it.
No.
Don't worry about it. The easy fix for this
Yes.
is that I will then become the slide controller and you get to say the fun words, next slide.
Perfect.
So we are going to swap out your screen and I am going to share my screen and see if that alleviates the issue.
Sounds good.
So if somebody could let me know now, that means that I'm not sure what I'm seeing because I have all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
up.
it says age 18 redetermination.
Okay,
SSI.
then let's move ahead.
Perfect. Okay, sorry about that. So yes, so this age 18 redetermination, this is for individuals who had SSI as a child. Unfortunately, Social Security will redetermine their eligibility when they turn 18. And they call it the age 18 redetermination. And so it usually happens within 12 months after the 18th birthday. And so they are looking to make sure that the individual meets the adult standard of disability, which is a little bit harder to meet. Now, most people, I feel like, do pass this and continue to have their adult benefit of SSI, but sometimes people do lose their SSI when they turn 18. So it's just something to be aware of, and it's a review that is done, and so it's very important to provide all the information that Social Security is asking for that review. And I would recommend the ADRC as a resource for appealing these things. So if somebody had that redetermination and they said you no longer qualify, it'd be a great time to connect with somebody at the ADRC to figure out what the options would be for appealing it. So, all right, I think we can go on to the next slide, Tim. So that, yeah, there we go. All right, so a little bit about Medicare and versus Medicaid. Medicare is the federal health insurance that is associated with having SSDI. So there is a 2-year waiting period for Medicare to start. I don't understand why that is, but it is. So SSDI beneficiaries, after 2 years of entitlement to their payment, they will become eligible for Medicare. It's not comprehensive, but it's pretty decent. There is some cost sharing involved for most people. There are the 3 parts. So Part A for hospitalization, Part B for outpatient services, Part D for prescription drug coverage. And some people qualify for a Medicare savings plan that helps pay the Medicare Part B premium. And then there is Part D extra help as well that some people qualify for. So you're going to see Medicare for people who have SSDI. Medicaid, you're going to see for people who have SSI. And remember, it's automatic. It's also going to be individuals who apply for it with the state of Wisconsin. So we have a number of different Medicaid programs for individuals with disabilities. And if you have, for example, just SSDI and Medicare, you could apply for Medicaid if you wanted additional health insurance. So one of the big programs that you might have heard of is the MAP program, the Medicaid Purchase Plan. That's one of our Medicaid programs. And it's a great program. We love it. It's for people who have SSDI who are working. And so that we help a lot of people with MAP. A lot of our clients have MAP. Many of them do. So again, Medicaid is different. So if you say you have Medicaid, you really need to figure out which program you have it under. Just saying Medicaid isn't really going to help. Unless it's the SSI, then we know that that's automatic. The other thing is, with Medicaid, there's the limit for the assets. So savings, things that you own. MAP is the one that has the $15,000 limit. All other ones do have a $2,000 limit, the same as the SSI program. And then also family care and IRIS, that is a type of Medicaid as well. That's where you could see a cost share, for example. And so that's a little bit more complicated, but that's one of the things we look at for individuals who are thinking about working. We look at, okay, these are going to be your Medicaid options. Either you can have MAP or maybe pay a cost share. So that's one of the things we look at when we're working with, to do benefits counseling. All right, now we can go on. All right, so when should an individual contact a work incentives benefit specialist? If they're considering working for the first time, if they're already working, but they're getting a raise, or their job says, can you work more hours? they're going back to work, they're developing a career plan, they're looking for a job, or they're having a problem or a question about their current benefits. That's work related. So they got that horrible letter that says, you know, we reviewed your work, your payment is going to be stopping next month and you owe us $30,000. And unfortunately, at least every other week, that's the call that we get from people. So it happens, but we can help people figure it out. So this slide is a little bit about kind of benefits 101, what you should know when you have benefits. It's always good to kind of understand which benefit you're getting, if it's SSDI or if it's SSI, because the programs are just so different. You can't even, there's just no comparison. They're just so different. Some people get both of them, so then it even adds more complications to it. But I always suggest that people keep their letters from Social Security. Just keep a folder, keep a binder, never throw away a letter you've gotten from Social Security, because you may need to look back at it at some point. People can get a benefits verification letter if they contact their local Social Security office or call the 1-800 number. We are suggesting that everybody sets up their online Social Security account. It's very important to do that. You can actually get a benefits verification letter. You can look at your earnings history. It's just really good to get that account set up. And so reporting, basically, we talk a lot to people about how to report to Social Security, how to report to the consortium, and how to report to your housing. We do suggest dealing with the local office as much as possible for Social Security. So that's the Janesville Social Security office in your area. I don't know how good they've been lately. I haven't had to contact them a lot recently, but anyway, that's the office to deal with. And I think it's the Southern Consortium for Rock County. That's going to be for food share and Medicaid. That's not SSI related Medicaid. So also, whenever somebody is working, please keep your pay stubs. Figure out how to get your pay stubs. And if you have to go online, figure out how to do that, because Social Security is always going to need pay stubs to verify earnings. So I don't know, it's crazy how many people I talk to who don't realize that, but it's the case. So pay stubs, very important. Now, also, we have on here keeping receipts for IRWEs, that's impairment related work expenses. So these can help sometimes for either program, actually. And so an IRWE is an out-of-pocket expense that the beneficiary has that's related to their disability and needed for working. Now, unfortunately, we don't see a lot of people who have a lot of these expenses, especially if they have Medicaid or if they have family care or IRS, because a lot of those expenses are going to be paid for already. So, but sometimes there are still those expenses, like medication co-payments. Sometimes those are still there, or specialized therapy, those kinds of things. So it's something to think about and keep in mind. All right, so we already talked about, this is more about reporting. Yeah, and this is something that we go over in detail with people when we do benefits counseling. Social Security has some nice ways to report monthly earnings. Actually, reporting online is new, so individuals can actually report their monthly earnings online in their Social Security account. So that's kind of nice. For SSI, they have like an automated telephone reporting system that some people like to use, and they have an app as well. So there are options for getting those monthly earnings reported. And it's really important when somebody's starting a new job to report that, if they're stopping a job, if there's an increase or a decrease in the earnings, or if there's other changes like the address, marriage, children, those kinds of things. All right, here is our message again. It is possible to work and keep those important benefits. And that's what we're here to help people understand. I can't say it enough. You know, there's still misinformation out there and people who feel like if they start working, everything's going to be taken away. So the good news is that that usually is not the case. And that's where getting individualized benefits counseling can really help a person to understand what their options are. And don't believe everything you hear about other people's benefit situations. That's my other big take home message. So. All right, and we have time for more questions if we have any. And that is my contact information. So my email, I have a toll-free number for WIPA, and then that's my cell phone number. So either of those ways is a great way to connect with me. And for WIPA, I am the person who deals with all the new referrals for WIPA and also for our long-term care referrals. So if you have any questions about how to get the funding or which funding source is better, just reach out to me.
And I will, Amber has given us permission to go ahead and PDF the slides. And so I will get them sent out to y'all who are here, and we'll get them posted onto the Transition Talks Tuesday website. I've also been doing my usual spamming in the chat. So if you're looking for anything, it might be in the chat. Feel free, copy, paste it, look it up later. We do have some time for questions, and you can either put your questions into the chat feature and I will relay them to Amber, or feel free to unmute and ask her directly.
Okay, I'll go.
Thanks,
That's all
Megan.
right. With somebody who's thinking about working, do you recommend that they enroll with DVR so that they can get it? Or, because we've had some individuals, especially during COVID, who, and now that, you know, employers are desperate for workers, are thinking about going, you know, working, but they're hesitant to enroll in DVR because they don't know what kind of, you know, what kind of income they can have yet. So do you still recommend them going through DVR first, or should we have them, or should we go through, you know, a benefit specialist on that?
Yeah, I think, you know, some people can get a job without having to go to DVR. So I think sometimes if all they want to know is the benefits part of it, maybe do a benefit consultation, you know, and get the information, and then maybe they apply for a job and get it on their own, you know, and they didn't even need to go to DVR. So I think that's fine for some people. If they're going to need more support though, you know, if they're going to need job coaching or things like that, then you probably want to start the DVR process.
Yeah, we've had a large, I say large, but we've had a big influx of individuals who with this past year on requesting, you know, a benefits analysis because of, you know, individuals who, you know, were maybe working and making $8 an hour, but they're, you know, receiving some pretty significant increases because they want, you know, these businesses want to keep their employees. So that's, I think that's another big area that we're seeing them, you know, wanting to get a benefits analysis on that. So I know, you know, just through TMG and IRIS that we've seen, more probably in the last year and a half than I've seen in 10 years.
Yes, for sure. I know.
So thank you for that.
No problem.
Any other general questions? And I think I heard Amber say that if you do have, questions about some of the more, I don't really know who to contact, that they could contact you and you could help them sort of untangle the knot about who's the one that's going to be able to provide that assistance. So thank you for that. Let me tell you, there sometimes it's really nice to have someone that you can contact to say, I don't even know who to contact. So
I know.
thank you for that.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, I am not seeing any questions in the chat, so we are going to take this to mean two things. Number one, there was a heck of a lot of information shared and it's not easy to digest quickly. And so there are processing times. And number two, you did a fantastic job of covering all sorts of the angles of disability benefits and helping understand, that take home message is it's possible to work and receive benefits because that's so important for some people. So thank you, Amber, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I so totally forgot to figure out where my feedback form is tonight. So I will just send that in an email to provide feedback. Appreciate it if you would do that. Please go on. Have a great rest of your night. We really do appreciate you all being there. And Amber, again, thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. It was great to see you guys. And yeah, have a great rest of your night.